Hey, and good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome back here to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your host, meteorologist Craig Majeski, your personal weatherman. That's how I like to kind of address myself here. We try to give you weather to you straight without all that social media hype, without trying to scare you to death. You know, our motto here is real simple: be prepared, not scared, and kind of give it to you straight. Get you ready for the upcoming weekend. You ready for the weekend? I know I am. I need a little bit of a break because I've got a very, very busy schedule ahead for me as I freelance at a local Fox affiliate here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I got some days for me coming up in the month of August. So I got a lot of stuff going on here, but we're going to keep doing this thing as well. Now, if you're coming into this report after the live presentation, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. That helps the algorithm. Leave me a comment down below. And as always, I extend you a personal invitation to please subscribe to the channel and help our little channel out. Yeah, we're not like the big boys out there that like to scare the crap out of you, but we do like to keep you weather informed. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what we got out there for today. Yesterday's high and lows out there across the nation. Tulsa, Arizona got up to 114. It's not too far from Death Valley, actually. And Leadville, Colorado got 31. Those are our high and lows across the nation. The big story, we got a couple things we're kind of talking about here for today. The big story, obviously, we got this frontal boundary that's pushing here to the south, bringing in a much-needed break across the country. And I'm telling you, when you see how much of the nation isn't going to even have the 90-degree temperatures, it's just amazing to see. A lot of 70s. Another issue that kind of came up yesterday, I wasn't really paying attention to it was until I saw a lot of postings on the social media, was the amount of smoke out there coming in across the Great Lakes and into the Midwest yesterday, coming into the Northeast. Air quality indexes were very, very bad. That's because of the smoke particulate matter that's out there. And I think that's going to continue to be a bit of a problem here through the weekend. So I just want to kind of highlight this real quick before we kind of get into this real fast. I do have a little model here for you here. As you can see there, kind of showing you where the smoke is kind of coming in from. So again, you got these big wildfires up in here. And it looks like we're going to see several plumes come down here across the Great Lakes, and maybe you can sneak into the Northeast here as we go through the weekend. This loop kind of takes you through the weekend, takes you right into the 3rd. So again, we're going to see that continue to be a bit of a problem with some hazy skies, some smoke problems out there, and not a lot of precipitation. Obviously, with the northwesterly flow, we're not going to get any real rain to kind of be a kind of wash the atmosphere, give it a bath. Not going to happen. So again, if you just if you're going to be outside for a length of time and you're sensitive to that kind of thing like asthma, just be safe out there and just watch out for that. Okay, for this upcoming week. Let's go back over here to the weather map here again as we're going to kind of see what's kind of going on here. Let me get out of the studio mode real quick. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our surface map here for this morning. As here is that big cold front. Boy, it's making a nice dive south. I mean, you see something like that come that far south and some nice cool air coming in here. Unusually strong high pressure that's kind of settling in here across the Great Lakes that's bringing in that cool air. And it's going to stick around for most of the week. So we're going to get a nice little break. It's also going to be a little bit wet, especially here across the south, mid-Atlantic area. I think you're all going to be a little bit on the wet side. That's the way it's kind of trending right now. And then we'll have to watch out for some pockets of severe weather, I think, out here in the plains, coming out of the foothills of the Rockies here over this upcoming week as well. So just a couple things to kind of watch there as we go through this weekend and get into early next week. Now we do have a few thunderstorms around this morning into Oklahoma. They're across Oklahoma to south of Tulsa. Some pretty good gully washers kind of moving through there. And there's some, it looks like a couple of clusters of storms that may be a problem going into Texas. There's a couple of pockets we're going to watch for isolated flooding problems. I'd tell you, this has definitely been the summer of floods. I think it's been a record number of flash flood warnings have been issued here so far this year. So again, I think the trend's going to continue right now, the way things are current. Now, this is a big part of the weather story here for today, guys. And hey, Mick, good to see you there. I saw you over there on the chat there. Tyler, good to see you too. So here's the big story. I mean, you remember how much of the country we had covered in the extreme heat, the extreme excessive heat advisories. This is all we got left. That's it. We've really trimmed and beat the crap out of that heat wave, and we're going to get a bit of a break. Although, don't get used to it. I've been telling everybody, this is not the introduction to fall. It is only August the 1st. We get a little bit of a summer break here, but the heat and the summer humidity will come back. Now, whether we're going to get that kind of oppressive heat back in here again like what we just recently had remains to be seen, but for right now, that's what we're looking at. Now, a couple of areas we're going to watch. We got you see a couple of these flash flood watches out here across New Mexico, up here in Montana, up here across Washington State. Again, that's anticipating a few of these thunderstorms that may cause some gully washers out there and cause some flash flood watches there potentially. Let's go ahead and take a look at your severe weather breakdown for today. We'll take you right through the weekend here. All right, so we got, obviously we got this little moderate risk here down here across the southeast. So I'm going to get I didn't turn my pen back on. Sometimes when you reset your OBS software, you got to reset your stuff. So here we go. So you got a little pocket right there, and then you got, looks like a slight risk out here in the foothills coming out of South Dakota and into Colorado. So a couple of pockets to watch there. Let's look at again, not anticipating tornadoes be a big threat today. Just a 2% there right across Rapid City down in toward Colorado. So out here in the plains, possibility right there. Obviously, the wind threat will be a little bit higher. Yellow there showing that 15% range there coming in across areas of Rapid City, near Pierre, near Cheyenne, just kind of into the northwest sections of Colorado. And down here in the south as well, coming with that frontal system coming on in here. Obviously, we're talking about Atlanta, Charlotte, Columbia, Augusta, Macon, Savannah. Could see a few strong gusty storms with this. We're talking 60-mile-per-hour winds. We had some storms in Atlanta yesterday. They weren't severe, but they knocked out power like 10,000 folks in Gwinnett County yesterday. So it just shows you, even if a thunderstorm is not quite severe, they can still cause some problems. And we definitely had that in Georgia yesterday. All right, let's go look at your day 2 outlook. Let's look at that. Day 2, again, we're pretty much going to sink this a little bit further south. So South Alabama, Georgia, a little bit of Florida panhandle there. Again, to continue out here on the Rockies here, kind of coming out of the foothills here, coming on in here. So we're talking about kind of running in between east of Denver and to the west of Dodge City. So kind of riding in between here. Good chase territory zone right through there for tomorrow as well. Let's see if the tornado risk is looking decent in that area. Hey, thank you there, Mick. Appreciate the donation there on the Super Chat. And again, you see that kind of sitting up there, out there in the middle of the area. So yeah, that's not a bad place to chase, that's for sure, for that area. And let's go look at your wind damage threat. Obviously, that'll be, again, the area there in South Georgia and out here on the foothills coming out of the Rockies. And the hail threat will basically stay the same place out there in the foothills. Not so much across the south, but they're out there coming out of the plains. All right, let's go to your day 3, take you into your Sunday. And again, just kind of sitting out there in the foothills. Just a general thunderstorm threat across the southeast. Looks like a large part of the country looking at a chance of thunderstorms. Pretty good threat there going into your Sunday. Now let's go ahead and back this up and look at the excessive rainfall threat. This has become definitely the year of the flood, so we got to watch this. Obviously, the green zones where you're looking at the isolated threat from any kind of known thunderstorm. The yellow ones are the ones of more concern to me. Kind of setting up into these zones here across the Carolinas. I've been tracking that for a couple days here near Dallas, New Mexico, out here into South Dakota. So we got a couple of pockets there to watch here for today. And I think the model data is kind of lining up for that. I'll show you that here in just a second. Going into Saturday, kind of shifts into South Georgia and out there in the plains, obviously where the biggest thunderstorm threat is going to be in here. That includes portions of Texas and Oklahoma in there. And you see that. And then going into your Sunday, again, looks like the southeast Georgia coast, and then here toward the middle of the country as well for the heavy rain threat. And we got to watch out as well, because with this frontal system sinking southward, a couple of areas I'm a little concerned about from a tropical standpoint. So let's go ahead and kind of get into that. I'll go and shift gears into my hurricane update here. Is right now officially the Hurricane Center, nothing says expect over the next 7 days. I think that's going to change, if not today, tomorrow at the latest. Again, when the Hurricane Center puts out their outlook, it's usually tracking some sort of NVEST or some sort of cloud cover. But the forecast modeling keeps suggesting that we're going to see something here pretty soon. And we're basically talking about here off the coastline of the Carolinas here. What is very common to get a frontal system that kind of stalls into place, sits over the warm waters in there, and you can get spin-ups there. And there's a couple of hot zones that we're going to talk about there. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you here real quick as I go and switch over to the model data here. I want to go and show you that real quick. Again, this is the European model here over the next 4 days. That's only a 4-day outlook here. So when I see 90 to 100% there, that's telling me a possible tropical depression development, low pressure, some sort of forming in here. So we got to watch this zone in here. It's also showing the Northern Gulf as well. So wherever that frontal boundary is going to be sitting in there, we're going to have to watch both those potential hot zones for possible tropical development. Right now, I'm not saying it's imminent, not saying we're going to get Dexter, but the possibility of a tropical depression. And so we'll see what our friends from the National Hurricane Center have to say about that going in toward tomorrow. We'll give a look on that. All right, so let's look at the satellite picture out into the tropics right now. still dealing with a tremendous amount of dust out there in the Atlantic. It's still a problem out here. And as long as that dust is sitting out there, it's going to be a problem. In fact, I saw yesterday it was mentioned that this is the slowest start to the hurricane season in 16 years. All right, so we still haven't gotten on the D storm. We're going to start August 1st. So what I do suspect is eventually the dust is going to settle down. And like it typically goes, it's going to be like someone flipped a switch and it's going to get busy out there again. So we'll see how this progresses. But right now, nothing is imminent out here in the middle of the Atlantic. You see a couple of decent tropical waves out here coming off the African coast there. But what they've been doing, they've been coming across and they've been getting the crap kicked out of them by that dust and that dry air. It just can't. It's definitely the big kryptonite for those tropical waves. I like to use that analogy all the time. All right. So let's go ahead and get into your weekend forecast. You guys ready for the weekend? Let's get into the weekend forecast. All right. Switch over to my model here. There we go. Switch over here. All right. Now we're looking at the NAM taking out for the next 60 hours here. So kind of tracking what's going on. And you're seeing this on the NAM itself. A couple things I definitely want to point out. I'm going to zoom in here across that. The southeast is looking unsettled. But look at this here at the end of this run going into Saturday. You see something spinning up here late Saturday and going into early Sunday. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got something to develop going into Sunday. So now that the intermediate model is starting to pick up on something they're developing, that's why I do suspect that the Hurricane Center may make a change. What I do think they're thinking is they're going to kind of give it another run, see what the 12Z run's got to say here. But it looks like they'll be looking at something there. Now, you folks across North Georgia, I know I got a lot of my viewers, my local viewers like to watch our broadcasts here. It looks like the weekend's going to be a bit wet, Saturday and Sunday both. So we got a bit of a wedge in here. We got a lot of moisture in here, so it looks like some pretty decent rains here across North Georgia. Heading out here to the foothills, we got these little clusters of storms that'll continue to roll out of the Rockies and out in the plains that we'll have to watch for potential severe weather, like right through here, going through Texas. I mean, got a couple of them in here, a couple of right turns in here. So we got to watch that closely. Again, you saw the coming out of the Rockies, out of the foothills, that whole area was kind of lighting up like a Christmas tree, not only for today, but really kind of through the weekend. So it all depends on where those thunderstorms line up and fire up for that specific day. So that's what we're looking like here for the weekend. Northeast is looking great. Boy, y'all are going to have a gorgeous weekend. Been on the cool side, but not bad. The only problem, as we said at the start of this broadcast, is the smoke across the Great Lakes that will work into the Northeast as well. That's going to be a bit of a problem there for this weekend. But otherwise, it will be cooler. That'll be nice. You'll definitely enjoy that. All right, got this loop again. Love showing this, man. This really tells the story of, wow, is this summertime or not? But I mean, really, we're not going to see a whole lot. Look at that green there flying up there into Sunday morning. When you see green going into summer, man, you know you got some nice cool mornings in there. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of back this up here a little bit here. Let's look at your afternoon here for today on your Friday. So this is 5 o'clock. So we're still holding on to the heat here across the southeast, here across Georgia and back toward Texas. But look at all of these 70s in here. I mean, 60, 73. 81. This is very nice indeed. I mean, we're really kind of beat back the heat. Extreme heat's out here in the desert Southwest. That's where it's supposed to be. But definitely a nice little break here. Let's go into your Saturday afternoon. We'll take it out to Saturday afternoon. We'll take it forward here. And we'll go into, let's say about 4 o'clock. Well, right there. Okay. Again, look at the south. Down toward Atlanta, 72 degrees. Afternoon high there on Saturday afternoon. That's unreal. But you go down to South Georgia, we're in the 90s, still holding on there. Iowa, 76. Near Chicago, we're looking at 77. Philadelphia, checking in at 77. I mean, Boston, checking in at 76. So, I mean, just very nice. It's still hot out here in Texas. We've still got some 90s out here. 99 down here. Houston, ouch, that's terrible. But looking pretty hot there indeed. And then as we take this on out to your Sunday, just so you can see what the Sunday's looking like here, we'll take this forward here again. We'll go out to, this goes out to 2 o'clock, pretty close, but still, I mean, very heavy rain here across the south. That's really keeps it up. That got to keep showing temperatures in the 60s at 2 o'clock in the afternoon there in North Georgia. Well, that's in my neck of the woods. That's going to be unreal. Temperatures do start to rebound a little bit here across the Northeast. I've seen a couple of 80s here popping up here, but still pretty good. Look how much of the country, though. There's no, I mean, since August 2nd, August 3rd, and see that much of the country but not 90-degree temperatures. It's just truly a nice little amazement. Now, again, it'll be short-lived. It's going to rebound next week, and I do suspect we're going to see above normal temperatures. When I show you the climate outlook, you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a little bit. Now, looking at the rainfall totals, again, definitely seeing something tropical. You see that kind of rain filling up here, again, with that front stalls I'll have to watch through there. You folks across the southeast, again, this is going out to Sunday at 2 o'clock. depending on where these storms flyer up, you can see some individual localized flooding, I think 2 to 3 inches, not out of the question, like on the upstate of South Carolina, for example. It's 2.82 inches there. Then we got to watch for these clusters of storms coming out of the Rockies. Again, we had what looked like a fire up of storms coming out of Colorado and diving southward, and this was dumping some pretty good rain. 3.5, 4 inches of rain, 4 inches of rain. Again, some localized flooding, again, watching in there. Remember where those pockets were we were showing here across eastern portions of Oklahoma, showing 3.5 inches here. And then also looking at some storms up here into the South Dakota. That's showing, there's a 6-inch plus there. So again, depending on where these clusters of storms flare up in their exact direction, localized flooding will be a problem. Seeing some storms here across Montana as well with some heavy rains up there. So again, not a overall dry weekend, but the Great Lakes looking good, Northeast looking good, West Coast also looking pretty decent, looking pretty good as far as rainfall total is concerned. All right, so let's look at the big pattern here. This is the European model. We got this looping on through here for the duration. And again, I'll reiterate the point that I do not see a return. Although I know we're going to warm things up, there's some residual weakness that's going to take forever to kind of clear out here across the southeast. That's going to keep y'all from heating up too much. There's a little weakness there going in toward the middle of the month. Looks like the ridging starts to build out here to the west, but even then it doesn't look overly strong. So I don't think we're going to see a big oppressive heat dome back in there. It's going to warm up. It's going to get hot again, and it looks like the trend is for above normal temperatures, although this weakness in the southeast might linger a little bit longer here. This little weakness coming in the northeast going into the 14th and 15th here. But I don't see a big heat dome, and we're going to stay unsettled here with the northeast. The northwest still stays unsettled here. Looks like you see that weakness keeps coming in there. Then we got a little ridging coming back in here going to the 10th and 9th. So it looks like it's going to heat back up here across the northwest as we go toward the 13th. So it's going to fluctuate from day to day. But again, I'm not seeing the big dome. That's the big news story on the outlook there. Now let's go ahead and look at your, let's take this through the weekend. We already talked about the weekend. We already looked at that. Let's go into next week here. So we're going into Monday right now. Monday afternoon, the southeast continues to stay on the dry side there. That's going to continue to be a problem there. We're going to continue to see some issues up here across the areas of the northwest, the North Plains, I should say, and the northwestern rain out there towards your Monday. And as we go out toward your Tuesday, to Tuesday afternoon, again, the scatter storms and rain across the southeast. That's why I'm really concerned about flooding potential here across the Carolinas and the southeast going into early next week. But I think as we get past Tuesday, we'll start to see things slowly begin to improve there a little bit. It kind of moves up toward the mid-Atlantic, still showing the rains here across Alabama and Georgia. Some scatter storms out here in the Plain States, a little storm system off the west coast there. And let's go into your Thursday afternoon. You kind of see, again, the mid-Atlantic at the southeast, a little bit of storms in the middle of the country. Looks like we finally get some rain here across areas of Seattle, Washington, Pacific Northwest. Gets a little disturbance up there going into the middle of next week. And then time taking this into your Friday. Again, the East Coast still looking wet. I mean, the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast still stays unsettled. So that's going to keep the temperatures down all week for you guys across the Southeast. Mid-Atlantic will stay down a little bit because of that. And we'll see things warm up here in the middle of the country as that heat begins to come back in earnest. Again, looking at the heavy, the 7-day totals here, the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast. So again, you guys were right in this zone here. Again, not so much severe weather, just a lot of tropical moisture in here, a lot of heavy rain. So again, anywhere from Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, parts of eastern Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida Panhandle, Alabama. This zone would not shock me if we start seeing some flash flood watches in here for next week if we consistently get these heavy thunderstorms or widespread heavy rains across this zone. All right, that's my trouble hotspot. You got a couple of areas up here in the plains as well, some heavier rains with some thunderstorms, and then a little bit up in there into the northwest as well, heading in toward Friday of next week. That's your 7-day total, all right? So let's again look at the temperatures here. Starting Monday, again, a lot of the country still not looking all that bad. You can see where that purple is. We're going to track the purple. That's what we're kind of looking at. That's where we're kind of interested in seeing what we're going to see there. There's your 2 o'clock on Tuesday. You're going to notice that that purple get a little bit bigger and take more real estate here. There's your 2 o'clock on Wednesday. So we're starting getting the heat back in here into Colorado, coming back into Kansas, even in the middle of the upper 80s up here, coming up into portions of Wisconsin as well. So we're starting to heat back up here in the middle of the country. Still, because of the moisture and rain, you can see the temperatures being kept down here into the areas of the mid-Atlantic. The northeast warms up, but we're definitely seeing the heat beginning to return here. Going into your Thursday afternoon, there again, see, look at that. So we got 101, 102, 101 coming out back to Texas there. We got 90s coming back into Missouri. So starting to grow on, still holding on a cooler way across the northeast there, the mid-Atlantic again. And then let's take this out to Friday afternoon here again. You can see more and more 90s. We're going to grow the 90s, grow that summer heat coming back at us here. You still in upper 80s into Illinois and 80s up into Wisconsin, but we're going to see that coming back. But again, not an overly oppressive heat dome. It will be hot in Texas, though. I mean, 103, that's nothing to sneeze at. It's going to be quite hot there in Texas going toward the end of next week, and I do expect that to continue as we go beyond that. And I'll show you the climate outlook here in just 1 second here. All right, so let's go ahead and take out that. In fact, let's just go to that right now. Let's go check out the climate outlook here. And again, this is right now, your 6 to 10 day outlook. I'm sorry, I actually got off that. Here's your 6 to 10 day. I got ahead of myself. There we go. So again, you can see that oppressive heat, really big hot donut there out there toward New Mexico. You can see that. Take a little bit of cool air up here across the Pacific Northwest, but that's about it. Everybody else here, and this is basically covering your 6th to the 10th, and then going out from the 8th to the 14th. The whole doggone country is looking at above normal temperatures. So enjoy the below normal temperatures that we've been tracking for a while for the weekend and going in early next week, because it's going to warm back up again for a lot of the country. Precipitation-wise, looks like we're dry out here in the west. See a lot of dry conditions out here with that heat building. We're going to stay a little bit rainy out here in the east and across the areas of the Pacific Northwest as well. And that, again, for the 6th through the 10th. And going out a little bit further, taking you out to the middle of the month, 8th to the 14th. And it still looks like it gets a little bit better. That dry starts to shrink some there. At least we're near normal. And then a little bit rainy here across the east and here across the west as well. Look at that, some rain coming into California. We'll see about that. That's going out toward the middle of the month. So anyway, that's how things are looking. Hope you guys are ready for the weekend. I know I am, that's for sure. So again, hey, Mick, thank you again for your nice little donation there. I do appreciate that. Tyler, you're out there as well. And you guys coming in on the channel, if you guys are coming in after the broadcast, if you appreciate this kind of straightforward, conversational. I don't want to play Mr. Broadcast anymore. I like doing these live. I prefer doing these live and not doing the recorded versions. It's just a little more comfortable for me. I guess because I'm so used to doing it so many years in the TV biz, I do prefer to do it this way. All right, that is y'all's update for today. You guys take it easy. Have a great and safe weekend, and we'll see you again back in here on Monday for the weather report. Till then, you guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to y'all later.